Hello from Daily Moral Story. Welcome to today's inspiring tale. Have you ever wondered what might happen if the person standing next to you in line was far more powerful than anyone could guess? It was a bright, buzzing morning in Rosewood City when a tall, unassuming man wearing a scuffed baseball cap walked through the doors of a local coffee shop. He looked like any other customer seeking a warm drink and a moment of calm before the day's rush. Little did anyone suspect he was the CEO of a major retail chain, determined to keep his identity hidden. He wanted to see things from the ground up, hear honest voices, and witness how real workers interacted with customers. This undercover mission would reveal a discovery so profound it made him stop cold. Even he did not foresee the life-altering revelation just around the corner, or how one kind-hearted employee could reshape his entire worldview. Marcus Palmer was the name he seldom shared in public, at least not without a formal introduction. Stepping inside that coffee shop, Marcus's heart fluttered under the weight of his secret. He inhaled the aroma of roasted beans, recalling when he had been a barista himself decades ago, back before ambitions and expansions took over. Today he was disguised as an ordinary patron, longing to reconnect with the authenticity he had known in those early days. The shop bustled with the morning rush. He spotted a free table by the window, adjusted his cap and sat down, pretending to check emails. A cheerful barista with bright eyes greeted him warmly, and he thanked her with a nod, ordering a simple black coffee. Cars whizzed by outside, and the hum of conversation filled the cozy room. Marcus watched the staff behind the counter. One employee caught his attention. A tall, lanky young man named He handled trays gracefully, flashed genuine smiles at frazzled customers, and offered spare napkins whenever he noticed a spill. His energy was calm yet uplifting, an unwavering presence that settled the chaos around him. Marcus observed Ethan closely, drawn to the warmth in the younger man's eyes. A busy mother with two restless children entered, looking harried. Ethan immediately grabbed coloring sheets and reassured her. She exhaled in relief, and Marcus leaned forward, recognizing the power of a simple gesture. As the rush intensified, Ethan only seemed more determined. He remembered returning customers' names, checked on their well-being, and offered small comforts to anyone who seemed upset. Marcus felt a wave of nostalgia. Watching Ethan was like peering into a mirror of who Marcus once had been. He ordered another coffee, eager to see Ethan up close. Ethan managed the counter with poise, occasionally running supplies to colleagues. At one point, a frail elderly man hovered near the door, unsure whether to sit or stay. Ethan guided him to a comfortable seat, steadying his shaky hands. Marcus couldn't deny the admiration growing inside him. Suddenly, the manager emerged, face pinched with worry. She told Ethan that the supply truck was late and they might run out of syrups. Ethan simply nodded. "I'll handle the front, don't worry," he said. The manager sighed in relief, disappearing into the back. For the next hour, Ethan single-handedly kept the line moving, reassured impatient customers, and managed the floor. He even soothed a crying child by offering an extra cookie. Marcus thought about his own staff across countless retail locations, imagining how many might share Ethan's dedication without being recognized. When the crowd thinned, Marcus approached the counter again. "You've been on your feet all day, aren't you exhausted?" he asked casually. Ethan shrugged, wiping sweat from his forehead. "A little, but it's part of the job. People need a warm spot, so I try to make sure they have it." Marcus smiled. "You really care about them, don't you?" Ethan nodded. "I grew up in a tough place. Whenever someone extended kindness to me, it was a lifeline. Now I try to give back." Marcus felt a twinge in his chest. He recalled the modest first store he'd opened, how he greeted every shopper and asked about their families. Over years of expansions and mergers, that sense of direct human touch had faded from his everyday life. He went back to his table, memories swirling. Ethan reminded him of the compassion that had first propelled him to success. A short while later, Ethan slipped outside for a quick break. Marcus followed, sipping his coffee. "You're the heart of this place," Marcus commented. "Why do you go the extra mile?" Ethan looked thoughtful. "Because I remember what it's like to need a little help. My mom's ill, so I work overtime to cover bills." I had to pause my studies to keep up with her treatments, but I'm grateful to have a job." His voice held no bitterness, only steady acceptance. Marcus felt a profound urge to step in, reveal who he really was and fix everything, but he held back. Later, Marcus decided to compare this environment to one of his own retail outlets. Entering a nearby store under the same disguise, he roamed the aisles. The staff greeted him but lacked the personal warmth Ethan displayed. The store ran efficiently, yet it felt transactional. He overheard a conversation in which a struggling mother asked about flexible layaway, only to be turned away by an employee citing policy. Marcus's heart sank at the memory of Ethan offering extra help or comfort. He recognized how impersonal the corporate machine had become. That night, Marcus lay awake, thinking about what he had seen. He remembered the younger version of himself who had wanted to make a difference in people's lives. Now, seeing Ethan so naturally embody what he once believed, he realized he had become distant from his own values. Determined to know more, he returned to the coffee shop the next morning. Ethan greeted him cheerfully. They chatted about Ethan's long-term plans. "I want to go back to school," Ethan confessed. "Get a degree in hospitality management, open my own cafe someday. But my mom's health comes first." Marcus told Ethan, "You're good at what you do. Have you considered other options?" Ethan gave a small smile. "My manager is kind, but she's under pressure. The company rarely gives feedback unless something goes wrong. I get by, but I want to aim higher, maybe one day." Marcus's heart ached, recognizing that countless dedicated workers just like Ethan were often overlooked. He felt compelled to act. The next day, Marcus arrived at the cafe in a well-fitted suit. The manager's jaw dropped when she recognized him from business publications. Ethan, clearing tables, looked astonished. Marcus apologized for the secrecy. "I came here undercover to observe how employees treat customers," he explained gently. "I want you to know how impressed I've been by your compassion." He turned to Ethan. "May we speak privately?" Behind the shop, in the cramped staff room, Ethan stood rigid, eyes darting nervously. Marcus took a seat and gestured for Ethan to join him. "You mentioned your mom's medical bills and your paused education. I'd like to help." Ethan's face flushed. "But why?" Marcus smiled, recalling his own early struggles. "Because I see in you the kind of genuine care that businesses desperately need. Meeting you reminded me of what I believed in long ago." He opened his briefcase and handed Ethan a folder. "I'm starting a scholarship program for people who demonstrate extraordinary kindness. I want you to be the first recipient. This will cover your tuition and provide funds for your mother's treatments." Tears filled Ethan's eyes. "I don't know what to say. This changes everything." Marcus gave his shoulder a reassuring squeeze. "You deserve it. Your kindness reflects what my company should stand for." The cafe manager hovered at the door, worried, but Marcus praised her leadership, acknowledging the limitations she faced. He promised to contact the company that owned the cafe to address better benefits. For now, he covered the tabs of all current patrons and left after giving Ethan a business card with direct contact details. Stepping out into the midday bustle, Marcus felt a renewed sense of purpose. Back at corporate headquarters, a sleek, glass-sided tower, Marcus summoned his top executives. Usually, these meetings revolved around profit charts and marketing strategies. This time, he declared a new initiative, a fund dedicated to helping employees in crisis, plus a scholarship for those who excel in service and compassion. Some executives balked, citing cost concerns, but Marcus stood firm. "If we want to thrive long-term, we must invest in the people who are our backbone." Policy documents were drafted, budgets were reshaped. Marcus led training sessions on fostering genuine care. He hoped to replicate Ethan's approach, so every employee felt supported and motivated. Meanwhile, he kept in contact with Ethan, checking on his mother's recovery. The scholarship funds relieved their financial strain, allowing Ethan to enroll in classes and reduce stressful overtime. His mother's spirits lifted, knowing her son's dreams might no longer be on hold. Word spread among Marcus's staff that the CEO had gone undercover at a local cafe and returned transformed. Employees at different branches reported a change in tone. Corporate mandates now encouraged leniency, empathy, and personal touches when serving customers. Turnover rates fell, morale inched upward, and some longtime staff said they felt recognized for the first time. Marcus invited Ethan to speak briefly at a small internal conference. Nervous in front of a crowd, Ethan nevertheless recounted his experiences, explaining how a simple kind word could change someone's day. Managers listened intently as Ethan described how he would calm agitated customers by listening to them or offering minor comforts. "I see people beyond the transaction," he said. The managers, many hardened by years of corporate training, softened at his authenticity. The applause was genuine, and several attendees approached Ethan afterward to thank him. Marcus looked on with pride. He remembered how Ethan had first appeared as just another face behind the counter. Yet he was doing more for customer loyalty than any marketing campaign could. Soon after, Marcus expanded the assistance fund to include grants for employees who volunteered in their communities. He wanted that empathetic spirit to ripple through the entire organization. At the same time, Ethan's mother steadily recovered. Freed from financial anxieties, she regained strength, and Ethan became more optimistic. Though he still worked at the cafe, he enrolled in night classes, determined to finish his degree. He poured the same warmth into everything he did, often receiving gratitude from customers who'd heard about his scholarship. The cafe manager, now better equipped through new resources, encouraged her staff to share concerns without fear. A bright energy replaced old stress. Marcus made unannounced visits to various retail outlets in disguise, hoping to see if changes were taking hold. In one store, he watched a cashier quietly cover a small difference when a customer was short on funds. "Pay it forward," she whispered, handing over the purchased items. Marcus felt tears well up. The attitude he'd admired in Ethan was catching on. Some managers worried about efficiency. Slowing down to engage with customers might hurt productivity, they argued. But Marcus insisted that empathy and loyalty would in the long run outweigh minor delays. He cited Ethan's example at every meeting, ensuring no one could dismiss the value of genuine care. As time went by, the statistics validated his stance. Customer satisfaction climbed, employees stayed longer, and revenue trends improved as well. Ethan remained a humble figure. Focused on supporting his mother and passing his classes, he balanced part-time hours at the cafe. Marcus offered him a formal role as a kindness ambassador in the company, traveling on weekends to share best practices with new hires. Though nervous at first, Ethan agreed. He visited different branches, demonstrating how small acts could forge a bond with the community. In the meantime, the scholarship program grew. Employees from diverse backgrounds applied, sharing stories of personal challenges. Marcus personally reviewed each submission, determined that the scholarship not become a mere publicity tool. He intended it to genuinely help people who reflected the core values Ethan embodied. Skeptics still questioned whether empathy could survive in a cutthroat marketplace. Some outside investors murmured that these feel-good measures might erode profits. But data showed otherwise. Brand reputation soared, and shoppers flocked to stores where staff actually listened. Many left glowing reviews about the transformed customer experience. Marcus's own board members, formerly hesitant, agreed that caring for employees yielded tangible returns. Ethan's life underwent a steady upward shift. He continued assisting his mother, maintained his job at the cafe, and excelled in coursework. Periodically, Marcus checked in, proud that the investment was paying off in more than just academic credits. He remembered how at one time he had nearly forgotten what true compassion in business looked like. Now, thanks to Ethan, that spark was rekindled across a major organization. A few months later, Marcus organized a small gathering at the cafe where it all began. Ethan's mother attended, looking healthier. The staff, including the barista who first served Marcus, decorated the space with photos of employees whose lives had changed due to the new assistance program. They called it a celebration of empathy. Marcus gave a short speech explaining how he had walked in, concealed beneath a baseball cap, to observe real service. "I was humbled by what I saw," he admitted. "Ethan's kindness stirred in me a commitment to help those who go above and beyond." The staff cheered as Marcus handed Ethan a plaque that read, "In honor of genuine kindness that inspires us all." Ethan blushed, tears welling up. "I only did what felt right," he said softly. Marcus nodded. "That's why you deserve it." A wave of applause followed. Journalists who had caught wind of the story captured the moment on camera. They ran headlines about the CEO who rediscovered his values, highlighting Ethan's role in sparking corporate reform. Marcus returned to his corporate offices, newly invigorated. He formalized additional programs to support employees facing family emergencies, extended paid leave for new parents, and financed further training. Whenever critics grumbled about costs, he explained that the long-term benefit of a dedicated, stable workforce far outweighed short-term expenses. One night, after a major board meeting, Marcus reflected on how a simple coffee shop visit had reset his priorities. He remembered that first day observing Ethan picking up crayons for the overwhelmed mother and ensuring an elderly man sat comfortably. Marcus realized that behind every transaction is a person with hopes, struggles, and a need for a human touch. Eventually, Ethan finished his studies. Marcus attended the graduation ceremony, watching with a proud smile as Ethan crossed the stage. Afterward, amid classmates and families, Ethan found Marcus and embraced him. "Thank you for believing in me," Ethan said. "You gave me a chance I never thought I'd have." Marcus responded, "You reminded me of something I'd lost. We helped each other." To celebrate, Ethan invited Marcus to his home for a modest dinner. Surrounded by simple furnishings, they shared stories of the whirlwind months. Ethan's mother teased Marcus about how he had blended in so quietly at the cafe, chuckling at how the powerful CEO had fumbled with loose change just to watch an employee. Laughter warmed the small living room. The conversation led to a toast, with Ethan raising a glass of water, to the power of kindness and to remembering that even small acts can spark great change. Marcus clinked glasses, grateful for the path fate had carved. Over time, employees across Marcus's retail empire shared anecdotes of how empathy was changing their approach to work. Sales associates listened more attentively to customer needs. Store managers allowed flexible schedules for single parents, and staff began forming stronger bonds with the neighborhoods they served. Though not every store blossomed overnight, enough success stories poured in that even skeptics admitted something positive was happening. Ethan's role as a traveling trainer grew. While still maintaining shifts at the cafe, he spent weekends visiting various branches of Marcus's chain, demonstrating calm problem-solving, heartfelt service, and the importance of noticing customers beyond their purchases. Eager new hires found his guidance transformative. Meanwhile, local media outlets kept running stories about the ripple effect of the scholarship and assistance funds. Letters of thanks arrived at corporate headquarters, addressed to Marcus or simply, "To the company that cares." Marcus often revisited the first store he'd ever opened, guided by the memory of how he'd personally served each customer. Now, as he walked those aisles, employees seemed more alive, greeting him, even if they didn't recognize him at first, as though he were family. On a couple of visits, he quietly revealed himself, only to see staff members burst into excited chatter, thanking him for the changes that made their workplace more supportive. Sometime later, Marcus decided to create a dedicated philanthropic foundation, the Heart in Service Fund, to unify all employee assistance and community outreach under one umbrella. He announced it at a large public event, inviting employees, local officials, and the press. Ethan was a guest speaker. Nervous but resolute, he described the day a humble man wearing a cap ordered coffee, watched him work, and quietly began asking questions. "I never expected my everyday actions to lead to anything like this," Ethan said. "But it shows that genuine compassion can spark real transformation when the right person notices." Marcus then took the stage, explaining how compassion had been buried under corporate strategies until Ethan's example reawakened it. He spoke about a future where successful businesses prioritize both financial growth and human well-being. The applause thundered through the outdoor space. By evening, photos of Ethan and Marcus circulated on social media, accompanied by heartfelt captions about empathy in business. The next morning, returning to his office, Marcus looked at the city skyline with a quiet sense of fulfillment. He recalled the swirling series of events set off by that initial coffee shop visit. He had intended only to verify how employees behaved unfiltered, yet he ended up rediscovering his own core values. In a sense, Ethan led the way, demonstrating that even one individual's kindness can reorient the vision of an entire organization. Marcus picked up the phone and called Ethan. "Thank you for reminding me of who I used to be," he said softly. Ethan paused. "You believed in me and changed my life?" Marcus smiled, an unspoken understanding passing between them. By noticing and nurturing someone else's empathy, he had restored the heart he'd once feared lost forever. Sometimes the greatest power isn't in wealth or titles, but in seeing another person's genuine spirit. Marcus, initially just wanting to slip by unseen, ended up driving a dramatic shift in a corporate empire. Ethan, a humble barista trying to make ends meet, found his compassion recognized and his life transformed. They showed that beneath every interaction lies a chance to lift someone else, and that can spark a chain reaction beyond anything imagined. The highest measure of success extends beyond profits and market shares. It's about whose lives we help shape, how workplaces can become supportive communities, and how the kindness we extend resonates in the future. Small acts of generosity, even when no one is watching, can lead to monumental changes. In the end, it's human connection that sustains us. Marcus and Ethan's story reminds us that empathizing with others creates deep loyalty and fosters lasting success. The changes in Marcus's company prove that compassion is not just a lofty ideal, but a practical force that can revolutionize how we work and live. Even large institutions can transform when one person's quiet kindness catches the eye of someone who can amplify it on a grand scale. In that final sense, the undercover CEO who entered a coffee shop left with far more than he had hoped to find. And the unassuming barista who lived by a philosophy of empathy received a chance to realize his dreams. Together they embodied the truth that kindness, when nurtured, can redefine an entire corporate culture and positively impact countless lives. Carry this lesson forward. Every genuine act, no matter how small, might be the spark that sets a grand idea in motion. It may bloom in ways no one can predict at first. At the heart of it all is the choice to see beyond the surface, to care about the person in front of us, and to believe that doing good can become the foundation of success. That choice can change everything, and sometimes that is exactly what the world needs. We hope this story, whether real or fictional, inspires you in some way. Stories spark hope. That's why we share them. May it remind you to lead with kindness, stand up for what's right, and believe in the power of change. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.